After decades of transformation, the new Pittsburgh is here, firing on all cylinders, its vibrancy palpable.
Absolutely. There's definitely a vibrancy in Pittsburgh.
There's this positive energy that's in this city right now is sort of building upon itself.
Whole different place.
A new economy has risen, fueled by universities, hospitals, and technology. There's renewal in the neighborhoods too.
There was a lot of years of work and investment. Some of it is sweat equity.
The demographics have changed too in the city. You see more younger people moving in.
People want to be near job centers. They want to have good transportation connections, and they want to be part of an arts and recreation environment.
The city's positives get national attention, but Pittsburgh is still a city in the making, and many issues are far from solved.
We still have two cities. We have neighborhoods that aren't doing well.
Workforce development, attraction, and retention is the overwhelming #1 issue in the region for our businesses.
With renewal comes reality. Will a new Pittsburgh be affordable to all? Is our workforce ready? Will an aging infrastructure stop us? Has the smoke really cleared?
That's a good question. Has the smoke cleared?
I remember as a kid growing up and coming back from visiting relatives, and as we were going down the Parkway East, making sure my dad would always wake me up so I could see the fire coming out of the top of the smokestacks as you went past the old LTV site.
Pittsburgh's Mayor Bill Peduto remembers the steel mills, how they used to spew smoke and fire all day and into the night.
1979, when I started high school, and the Pirates won the World Series and the Steelers won their 4th Super Bowl, and Pittsburgh died.
In the 1980s, U.S. cities that depended on heavy manufacturing suffered, especially Pittsburgh. New technologies led to global competition. Thousands lost their jobs. People left and neighborhoods declined.
The low point in our economic history, 1982, when our unemployment rate for the 10-county region peaked at 18.3%. We lost 100,000 manufacturing jobs, 250,000 people left the region, and we spent decades recovering from that.
Dennis Yablonsky is the CEO for the Allegheny Conference. The economic and public policy nonprofit works to attract jobs and improve the quality of life in the region.
We were founded in 1944 by two famous Pittsburghers, Davy Lawrence, mayor, and R.K. Mellon, financier. Back then, in 1944, the issues of the day were air and water pollution, spring floods, and urban blight. And it's kind of interesting, we're standing in the center of where a lot of that blight existed, and look at it now. It's beautiful, new construction going on, whole different place.
Market Square downtown is just one example. It seems that everywhere buildings are going up, new businesses open, the food scene is trendy. How'd that all happen? In part because of the conference and collaboration.
There was a regional effort led by the Allegheny Conference and then President Robert Morabian of Carnegie Mellon University to analyze our regional economy and identify which sectors we had competitive strengths in.
Finance, manufacturing, and energy were still strong here.
Two of them were new sectors that virtually didn't exist then, that would be driven out of our universities and hospital systems, those being technology and the whole biotech life science area.
Well, the turnaround was a long time in coming.
Doug Hoyk is the director of Pittsburgh Today. The online project fosters dialogue to improve the vitality of the region.
Our economy is much more diversified now, and we have a much more highly educated population than we ever used to.
And helping to get there, support from the philanthropic community.
What I would call quality of life types of thing. You look around the region, it's vibrant, it's active. We have a cultural district that is the envy of most other places in the country. And that's why we've been ranked regularly as one of the most livable places in the country. And all of that is a result of quality of life investment stimulated by our foundations, also responded to by the business community and individuals as well.
I like to tweet them. So I see that Pittsburgh's ranked whatever, and I really do it for my out-of-town friends.
On February 27th, 1985, Pittsburgh got some shocking news. Rand McNally, a company that specialized in road maps and trip planning, ranked Pittsburgh as America's most livable city.
People thought that it was really more of a provocative eyebrow raiser than something that reflected reality, because we were in the trough of having lost some 150 to 200,000 manufacturing jobs.
You go back and look at what they were looking at. They were looking at low crime rate. They were looking at affordability. They were looking at factors of being able to live in cities at that time. And what we had was very affordable because there weren't anybody moving in.
So many rankings since then that actually really do reflect the kind of high livability that Pittsburgh now has.
The best place to start a business. The best major city for millennials. The next big food town. The best place to retire. The best American comeback city. There's been a lot of good press about Pittsburgh.
I frequently hear much nicer things about Pittsburgh from outsiders than I do from our own people. I think these rankings help to convince us that things are really going in the right direction.
Pittsburgh is actually a city of makers and creators now. It's a place where you can carve out your niche. You can do that here.
Pittsburgh, just based on conditions, is poised to grow.
You can really come here with nothing more than an idea, and you can make it happen.
The dream is no longer to be in New York and work for the big company. I think the dream now is to have your own business, even if it's just you.
Pittsburgh is perceived as a land of opportunity.
A land of opportunity fostered by Pittsburgh's University. Deep Local is a tech company located in the Strip District. It's doing innovative work in branding.
I have some ideas on that. I don't know what you're...
Nathan Martin founded the company in 2006.
We're a spin out of Carnegie Mellon University. We spun out about 9 years ago, so we've been around for a while. And we work in advertising mostly, but we develop interactive experiences or even invent products for our clients and work with a lot of great clients, including Nike, Old Navy, Google, Hallmark, and Netflix.
And like other new economy companies, the work is intense, but the culture is relaxed, fueling creativity by mixing work with play.
A lot of times we'll try to figure out projects that we can work on that aren't client-based, that are more for ourselves or for the community. And Bairdstown was just an idea we had one Friday evening where we thought about how great it is to kind of sit outdoors and drink, but to not have to do that at a restaurant or a bar, how we'd rather just do that in our own backyards, but a lot of us don't have backyards.
Bairdstown is an outdoor social club named for a section around 31st Street in the Strip. It's a short walk from Deep Local, a vacant lot transformed, picnic tables, grills, fire pit, and a stage. In the summer, this place hops.
One thing that's hard about Pittsburgh as it grows and has more and more young people, it's still not that easy to meet people. So we recruit a lot of talent from outside of the city that moves to Pittsburgh. And when they move here, it's sometimes really hard for them to make friends because of a certain age in Pittsburgh, everyone kind of gets married. What we've seen even down since we moved to the Strip in the last 3 years is this neighborhood starting to change and develop very quickly as well. Great for the city that we're seeing investment and development happen. I think it's also, we should be cautious about how we do so because I'm also seeing rents go up and prices go up. What I've always loved about Pittsburgh is this was, and still is to some degree, like the Wild West, a place where you can kind of experiment and do whatever you want, and Bairdstown's a perfect example of that. I think as we develop, we need to make sure that we need to ensure that we still allow people to be able to start art galleries or do the things that they couldn't do in New York or San Francisco.
So we're walking into the main kind of dining area of Apteka.
Tomasz Skowronski and Kate Lasky are opening a restaurant in Lawrenceville.
And Apteka means pharmacy in Polish.
The food business is not what Tomasz and Kate studied in college. They both have degrees in public policy.
We're hoping for the space to be kind of really cozy.
Tomas went to Carnegie Mellon University and Kate the University of Pittsburgh. Their idea to open a restaurant in Lawrenceville came out of pierogi night.
Pierogi night is an event. It's a pop-up restaurant. What happens is we cook 2 different kinds of pierogi, and they're a lot of different kinds of flavors. We try to rotate every time. And then we do a guest food. So it'll be anything from tacos to banh mi to bao to arepas. So we try to really take ingredients that make sense for that regional cuisine and incorporate it to make it more interesting.
Interesting enough for hundreds to come, some as far away as Ohio and Maryland.
People would ask us at the end of, pierogi night, when's the next pierogi night? And then that question soon became like, all right, well, when are you guys gonna open a restaurant?
Now, after more than 4 years of cooking thousands of pierogis, Kate and Tomas are doing it.
We want to be the flagship for Eastern European food in Pittsburgh.
We want to cater to a lot of multi-generational Pittsburgh families. I think we want to cater to who's here. And I think that in terms of the young makers and shakers, I think that they're going to be around here for a while, only because there's so much work to be done in Pittsburgh.
Have 2 cities. We have neighborhoods that aren't doing well, where people are in distress, where they haven't revitalized, and some where they're continuing to deteriorate.
Community leaders can't ignore the disparities.
Many African Americans in this community are just a paycheck away from poverty.
A 2015 report published by newgeography.com places Pittsburgh at number 48 among America's 52 metropolitan areas where African Americans have the best job opportunities.
How do you work on that?
We continue to talk very broadly, very openly about the diversity needs in our region.
You redouble your efforts on education.
Now, Pittsburgh's unemployment rate is averaging 5.1% compared to the national average of 6.8%. Good, but not good enough. Many local businesses have jobs they can't fill.
My name is Melanie Harrington, President and CEO of Vibrant Pittsburgh. Vibrant Pittsburgh was established to grow the diversity of the Pittsburgh region. Are we really being as open and transparent with our opportunities as we can be to ensure that people are able to identify those opportunities, get prepared for them, get in the pipeline for them?
We're not able to attract the type of people who can help to rebuild neighborhoods that are underserved and under distress.
But some neighborhoods are doing well because of an influx of young people, potentially pushing out those who have spent their whole lives there.
You have to be select about how you want to see growth occur. In Pittsburgh, we have 90 unique neighborhoods that make up the mosaic that is Pittsburgh. And for the people that live there, they have a pretty good understanding of what it is they want to see happen there.
And work with those grassroots organizations that are already doing a great job, get them more capacity and more resources, and help extend their reach into revitalization.
Revitalization within a community is one issue, but renewal beyond that neighborhood affects everyone, and there's still much to be done.
Roads, bridges, air service, rail, water and sewer. It's a competitive issue. When companies are evaluating where they're going to expand, they look at infrastructure. It's also a job generator. When you invest in infrastructure, it creates a lot of jobs and a lot of economic activity.
There's a legacy here where the environment was something we used for industry. Now the environment is a major attractor for the best and brightest. People don't want to go to a place where there's questionable air quality or where you can't enjoy outdoor life.
We have started and have made great strides in cleaning our water and cleaning our air, but we still are behind the rest of the country, and it will always be a ball and chain that will hold us back from our true potential. There's this positive energy that's in this city right now that is sort of building upon itself.
Despite the challenges, the city is still attractive to many. People who left are moving back, empty nesters to downtown, and young people, millennials, buying into neighborhoods that still virtually built.
People want to be in areas where there is activity around them, where there's this density, where you can walk to work, where you can bike to work. where you can get public transit to work.
5 years ago when I moved to Lawrenceville, it was different. There were a lot more bars, there were empty storefronts. Now, like over the past couple years, there's been more restaurants, there's been all these boutiques that have opened up, the demographics have changed.
Who else wants food? Do you want a roll or a wheat bread? Do you like sloppy joes?
On Wednesday in the summer at this corner garden in Lawrenceville, Sarah Innamorato volunteers serving dinner to neighborhood children.
There you go.
Sarah is a lifelong Pittsburgher. She grew up in suburban Ross Township, went to Pitt, and has lived in city neighborhoods, Oakland, Shadyside, Squirrel Hill, ever since.
And then I moved to Lawrenceville because I had 2 musician friends who had an open room and a cheap place to live. So it is right up here. It's the one that is Christmas colored.
And she stayed, renting first, then finally buying a home in the summer of 2015. She likes city living.
And this is it. It's a tiny little row house built in 1900. But I do prefer to be able to walk to the grocery store or to bike to a friend's house or to be on foot when I go out to like the neighborhood pub or to grab a drink. So that's really appealing to me, to have those amenities within walking or biking distance. Santana Sarah, so nice to meet you. Since being here, I found that it was really easy to know my neighbors and to connect with people and to build networks.
With Lawrenceville now booming, Sarah wishes she had bought earlier.
If I had a time machine, I would have gone back 3 years and bought some of the homes that I was looking at then.
I think a lot of people are buying into the authenticity of this place. People love being able to connect to the history, to touch a part of that, either in Arsenal Park or in Allegheny Cemetery. So that's a real important piece that people are buying into.
Matthew Galuzzo is the executive director of the Lawrenceville Corporation. It's a community development corporation, or CDC. Most neighborhoods in Pittsburgh have one, acting as a conduit for responsible neighborhood growth.
It's not just good enough to see reinvestment in the neighborhood. We really view ourselves, with the transformation of the neighborhood, as neighborhood stewards. So our job is oftentimes to curate development, to ensure that it fits in a 21st century context.
We are a city of neighborhoods and people love their neighborhoods.
Sabina Dietrich knows a lot about urban planning. She's the director of the University Center for Social and Urban Research.
Many neighborhoods that today you're talking about as being full of millennials and having lots of change have benefited from decades' work of grassroots people, grassroots organizations, and community development corporations guiding their neighborhood through all kinds of involvement of residents, often to produce a neighborhood plan.
And sometimes a neighborhood is so successful, like the South Side, it no longer needs a community development corporation to guide the planning. But South Side housing has priced out a lot of people. Is Lawrenceville following suit?
We're concerned about affordability. I mean, honestly, we're concerned about affordability.
Recently, the organization partnered in a project that produced 9 affordable units and hopes to do more.
Going back to that responsible growth component of our mission is to work really hard to come up with creative solutions for creating affordable housing. And there's not a sort of silver bullet that's going to serve as the panacea for affordable housing in the neighborhood.
In Manchester, we've got 1,231 housing units. Our community makeup is 50% home ownership, over 70% African American, a little less than 17% Caucasian. We probably have one of the highest African American home ownership populations within the city of Pittsburgh.
Every summer in the Manchester neighborhood, there's a block party. It's hosted by the Manchester Citizens Corporation.
Miss Brenda Moy happens to be an MCC board member.
Brenda Moy is a lifelong resident. She's seen it all.
As a child, it was good. Then in the 60s, it got bad. Even through the bad times, I still, this was home, but I'm seeing really a great Manchester.
Go ahead and look at me.
Renee Rosensteel and her husband Bill are new to Manchester. They bought their home in 2012.
Making Manchester rock stars.
Yes.
We wanted to get out of the chaos of the South Side. And we were looking for a place that was quiet, a place where we could build a garden. And Manchester fit the bill.
We're happy to have you here.
LaShawn Burton Falk is the host of this picnic. She's the executive director of the Manchester Citizens Corporation, MCC for short.
If you ask many of us here who are current residents, we've always felt that it's been a great neighborhood. We've got access to the city, very close, new things like the T, the stadiums, entertainment. We're very accessible to all of those things. Good afternoon, welcome to MCC.
Founded in 1965, MCC is one of the oldest community development organizations in the United States, and it's made great strides keeping Manchester affordable and intact.
We were the first of many communities to have an actual Hope 6.
Hope 6 is a plan by the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development to replace obsolete public housing with mixed-income developments. Other projects in the works include the transformation of a brownfield into a community with 26 new homes, and the Renaissance Housing Program, renovating dozens of historic properties.
The idea that there would be home ownership beside a rental unit, and that would begin to encourage and instill the same type of values. I'm taking care of my lawn, you're taking care of yours. We're walking our children to the same school, and nobody knows the difference. The value of making sure affordability is put first. It's tremendous within this community specifically because of the higher African American population.
Unlike Seattle, San Francisco, Boston, New York, pretty much all these cities that have seen a boom for 20 years, Pittsburgh is vastly different when it comes to affordable housing. We have about 7,000 people right now who have the ability to get a voucher from the federal government for public assisted housing that can't find housing. But we have 13,000 lots and vacant properties in neighborhoods that have seen no development that are sitting there owned by the city, that we have the ability to wed those two together. And we have an opportunity to employ people from those neighborhoods to help fix them up. That has to be the new model.
Along this street, that was 13 houses. On this side, that was 14 houses. And everyone knew everyone, family knew the children, and the children played together. Mostly it was adults, senior citizens, working peoples. And we coincide together. We speak good morning, good afternoon, and it was a family setting type.
Mary has lived in Larimer for more than 35 years.
As time went on, there were senior citizens. They died out. They left the houses to their children, and that generation walked away and left it. And the house became abandoned. There was no fixing up on it. There was no taxes paid. And the next thing we know that they start tearing the houses down.
Demolitions have stopped. Today, houses in Larimer are going up.
Right now in Larimer, we see a mixed income housing development that's just sort of nearing completion. In fact, some units are already completed and have actually been occupied.
Malik Bankston is the executive director of the Kingsley Association in Larimer.
A lot of the work that we've been engaged in here in Larimer, particularly over the last 10 years, 11 years now, has been focused on trying to figure out how do we sort of enhance the prospects of people who live, work, worship, and play in this community.
In 2014, HUD awarded Larimer $30 million in funding for 350 mixed-income units. This grant included a people plan to also address vacant properties, provide recreation and parks, improve stormwater runoff, and more.
It essentially represent investments in people, in their health and well-being through wellness services and programs, investments in education that are meant to support the children.
Progress is going to benefit the neighborhood. I welcome any culture that's going to come in and take pride, whether they're a rentee or whether they're a homeowner. They take pride in where they live in, to show the existing neighbors respect and to have respect for themselves.
Now, by all appearances, the proverbial rust has dissolved and the new Pittsburgh is here.
The city's been really excited to see a lot of change, and it's been really encouraging.
A city that is at a crescendo, at a level that I haven't felt in the 15 years that I've lived in.
A crescendo affirming Pittsburgh's standing as a livable city, no longer chained to its image.
As far as an image of a smoky city, I think we have turned the corner.
The smoke has cleared in some cases. In others, it's kind of turned into a fog that we're still trying to see our way through.
Kind of a word of caution and just to make sure that we preserve what's so interesting about the city.
And there is good momentum and good opportunity in this region. But the worst thing we could do would be to rest on our laurels. We still have major challenges, workforce, infrastructure, and others. But if we do what Pittsburgh does best, which is come together, public, private, philanthropic, academic, work on these problems, we can continue to build on the momentum.
I've seen a lot of transformation in 50 years. The smoke may have cleared. We still have a lot more work to do. We have moved further than any city has in 70 years, but the true measure of what Pittsburgh will be determined in the next 30.
We can serve as a model for a lot of other cities, especially in the Rust Belt, especially in the Midwest, and you know, I think we're doing the right thing.